A girl with a torn dress walks in front of the church, and she asks whether if she can come inside. Seeing her, he thoughts to himself it was their first time ever meeting, but for some reason he feels like he already knows her before. He then suddenly remembers that she is going to be a saint in the future, and her name is Reina Laura. Afterwards, in the time back in his past life, he used play games after he finished working. And any game that has love system in it, he had already played it. In the end, he suddenly got a heart attack and got killed. As a result, he fell down from the place he was standing. Afterwards, when he woke up, it was a different world, and he was born as a fifth son of a noble family. But still he had tough time living with magic and monsters. In the end, he adapted to that life. And somehow ended up as a priest in this church over the past 10 years. After that, he stares at that girl, and goes on thinking, he never thought he will meet her. And then he confirms that there is no mistake, because she is the heroine of the game called The Beyond Painted in Rainbow, Reina Laurel the Saint. And right now, according to the game, she is here to mourn for her mother's death. But her prayer suddenly forms a lot of light balls. As a result, a nameless and unimportant priest will find her power, who is him, a mob character. Meanwhile, she finished her prayer and says thanks to him, and then when she tries to get up, her legs trips, but before she could fall down, he catches her. He then gets shocked because she has an unkempt hair and her worn-out clothes. Plus, she looks so beaten after finishing the prayer. In the end, he gets really upset because the saint was in really bad state. All of a sudden, she wakes up and gets shocked and goes on by apologizing to him. After that, she started to shake while begging for mercy to him. Seeing her actions, he got speechless. And then he tells to her that it's all right because they are in the goddess home, and it is in place where everyone offers a helping hand to everyone. And he goes on by asking whether if she wants to take rest here. Hearing it, she got confused. And she goes on by saying she is barely presentable, also she doesn't even know how to bath herself. To which he straight up ignores, and he asks whether if she wants apple pie. After a while, she happily eats the apple pie. Seeing her, he smilingly thoughts to himself that she must be really hungry. The Otome game, Beyond Rainbow, is a romantic fantasy story, and in that thing Reina finds her love interest people while saving the world. But it's way off in the future, but now she will get really a bad treatment in her childhood by her father. Not only that the nameless priest will send her to the capital after finding her power, but for some reason she will still receive more abused training in her life at the capital. And then he gets serious while thinking if that's really a good choice to follow the story. All of a sudden she calls his name, and she happily announces that the apple pie is really tasty. The priest clenches his fist as he realizes that sending the girl to that place would be the worst possible decision, because he already knows what awaits her if he follows the story. Thinking about it, he concludes that in this situation the only thing he can do is act differently. Meanwhile, when Reina calls out to him, he casually responds by telling her not to worry about him and says she can have another serving if she wants, while she happily agrees. Afterwards he asks her name, to which she replies it's Reina, and then he calmly asks what he should call her, Miss Reina, or just Reina, to which she replies Reina is okay. He then says he still hasn't heard his own introduction properly, and calmly tells her that his name is Clail Bon, explaining that he only started working at this temple as a priest this very month. As Reina continues eating the pie happily, Clail politely says he wants to ask her something. Sitting across the table, he asks if she would like to start working at this temple. He explains that she could work here as a sister while learning the holy arts, and judging from the prayer she performed earlier, he believes she could eventually become a member of the clergy. Clail becomes determined and decides that he will protect Reina, thinking that this is the best choice he can make for her. When he tells her this plan, Reina nervously asks if it is really okay for someone like her to stay here, while Clail calmly reassures her that it is fine. Clail gently holds Reina's hands and tells her that he needs her, asking her to just stay with him and whether she is against it. Reina looks up at him silently, overwhelmed, while her expression begins to tremble. Unable to hold back her feelings, Reina suddenly bursts into tears and throws herself into Clail's arms while crying loudly. As she clings tightly to him and continues sobbing, Clail kneels down and calmly comforts her, softly telling her that everything is all right. Afterwards, in the temple, the statue of the goddess is shown with a peaceful smile as soft light drifts through the air. The church bell tower and the temple appear quietly under the glowing particles, overlooking the town below. When Clail mentions the bath, Reina reacts in shock and repeats the word, clearly surprised. She quickly says that if someone like her used the bath, it would bring divine punishment, insisting that she can simply wash herself at the well instead. Clail refuses, explaining that the night is cold and he cannot allow that, while Reina nervously admits that she has never used a bath before. Clail thinks about the situation, wondering how to solve the problem since Reina has no experience using a bath. While thinking, he briefly imagines bathing together in the tub, but immediately rejects the thought, realizing that it would be inappropriate and dangerous. Reina shyly says that she will use the bath, standing close beside him. She repeats that she will use it if he comes along, looking embarrassed as she says it. Clail becomes flustered and quickly refuses, explaining that bathing together would be inappropriate. Reina reacts dramatically in confusion while Clail stands awkwardly beside her. Reina panics and begins apologizing repeatedly, saying she should have known he would be against bathing with a dirty girl like her. Clail quickly stops her, flustered, insisting that he would never think something like that. Trying to reassure her, he says it is fine and decides that they will take a bath together, explaining that he will teach her how to use a bath properly. Inside the bath area, Cleo nervously turns away while helping Reina with the process. He tells her there is nothing to worry about as she begins removing her dirty clothes and covering herself with a cloth. While she prepares to bathe, Cleo kneels nearby, trying to stay calm as he looks at her. Cleo suddenly notices the condition of Reina's body. Her back is covered with numerous scars and wounds. Seeing this, he quietly tells her that she did a good job enduring it. Reina looks at him and calls out to him softly, after which Cleo raises his hand and casts healing magic, saying heal. After Cleo casts healing magic, Reina feels the change in her body. She looks back at her shoulder and back in surprise as the wounds disappear. Touching her body, she says that before it was itchy and painful and made her feel miserable, but now she feels really comfortable and at ease. Turning to Cleo, she tells him she can no longer feel the dampness on her back anymore. Reina looks at herself in confusion and asks if she has somehow become strange. Cleo calmly tells her no, explaining that what is strange is considering pain to be something ordinary, and that this is how things should be. After that, Cleo prepares the bath and tells her to sit down so he can wash her. Reina sits on a small stool while Cleo washes her with water from a wooden bucket. As water pours over her head and body, she squeezes her eyes shut and clenches her hands while reacting to the sensation. Steam rises around them from the bath as Reina exhales softly, feeling the warmth while Cleo continues washing her. While washing her, Cleo asks Reina if the water is hot. Reina smiles softly and replies that she is okay, probably. As he continues washing her, Reina says the bath feels nice and warm and asks if this warmth is also his power. Cleo laughs and says of course not. After finishing, he tells her that she is now all nice and clean. Standing in front of a mirror, Reina looks at her reflection and quietly wonders if the person she sees is really her. Cleo tells her that this is what she ought to look like and says that she has become very pretty. Hearing that, Reina blushes in surprise. Then she suddenly jumps into the water. Cleo becomes confused and asks her what is the matter. Meanwhile, she simply replies. Inside the water, she happily smiles while blushing. Later that night, Cleo and Reina lie in the same bed inside the room. Reina sleeps close beside him under the blanket. Cleo looks at her and sighs, saying he thought something like this might happen. He goes on to say that no matter what kind of person he is, sleeping with a boy she just met today is rather careless. While lying beside him, Reina suddenly clings to him tightly. Trembling, she says she hates pain and that she does not like it. Still shaking, she says it hurts and that she feels lonely, begging him not to leave her alone. Seeing her distressed state, Cleo looks serious and gently reassures her that she does not need to worry because he is right there with her. Cleo then raises his hand and casts a spell, saying mind cure. Reina curls up on the bed while the magic takes effect, her expression gradually calming. Sitting beside her, Cleo gently pats her head and tells her that everything is okay and that all of her struggles will definitely be rewarded. As Reina sleeps beside him, Cleo reflects on everything she has endured. He thinks that she must have experienced pain like walking barefoot on a road covered with rose thorns, but he believes that her misfortunes will end here. He imagines a future where Reina can live freely, enjoying tasty meals, taking warm baths, and sleeping peacefully without worry. Sitting beside the bed, he gently watches over her and thinks that after all, that is how a child should live. Looking at the sleeping Reina, Cleo continues speaking softly to her. He says that she will surely find happiness and that the moment people see her, she will become a heroine that everyone will envy. Still watching over her while she sleeps in the bed beside him, Cleo says that someday the day will come when she will leave him and fall in love with the person she is destined to be with. For now, he tells her not to worry and to sleep well. He promises that he will make sure she will be able to do so, all for the sake of protecting her bright future. Reina's past is shown as a series of memories. Her childhood was truly unfortunate, and those hellish days were filled with nothing but misery and pain. She was locked inside a small storage room, exposed to the cold wind. The only food she received once a day was hard bread and spoiled soup. She was constantly rebuked, shouted at, whipped, and beaten by her father. She was also forced to perform exhausting chores. The abuse continues as Reina cries while being yelled at. Her father shouts at her to stop crying, calls her worthless trash, asks why she is still not done, and orders her to stop dawdling and start cleaning. Reina lies on the floor in pain, believing that those hellish days would never end. Yet in the middle of that despair, she remembers the words that comforted her. Suddenly she begins to hear them again. Everything is okay, and it is all right. The memory shifts back to Cleo standing in front of her. He gently reassures her again, telling her not to worry and that he is right there with her. Reina looks up at him with wide eyes, deeply moved, and softly calls out to him, saying, "Reverend." Cleo lies on the bed with Reina sleeping beside him under the blanket. He quietly mutters, "Ah." As Reina suddenly opens her eyes, she slowly sits up on the bed and looks down at her hands in silence, staring at them as if thinking. Reina then looks toward Cleo, who is still asleep beside her. Afterward, she slips back under the blanket and quietly moves closer while he continues sleeping. She gently leans over him and rests against his chest, holding on to him while looking down at his face. As she watches him, she remembers his expression whenever he was kind to her. Reina lies on top of him while he remains asleep. Holding on to him, She softly says that it is really warm and repeats that the Reverend is so warm. Blushing slightly, Raina lies close against Clayle and softly calls his name several times, saying Lord Clayle, while looking at him. The scene then shifts outside to the church tower under the night sky. The bell tower stands quietly as her voice continues calling his name. Morning arrives. The church is shown in daylight with the bell tower and surrounding mountains. Inside the room, Clayle is still lying on the bed, sleeping peacefully as the sunlight enters through the window. He slowly begins to wake, opening his eyes slightly and murmuring HM, while stretching his neck. Suddenly he sees her sucking his dress while being asleep. Clayle reacts with surprise as he looks down at her. After a moment, he realizes the situation and quietly says, "Ah, I see." Sitting up on the bed with Raina still beside him under the blanket, he reflects that for a moment he thought he had committed a grave sin, but then reminds himself that he simply took this girl in to protect her from further abuse. Clayle looks at the sleeping girl beside him and thinks about who she will become in the future. He recalls that she is Saint Raina, the protagonist of the Otome game, the Beyond painted in rainbow. He remembers that although she is young now, she will eventually grow up to become the saint who saves the world, and along the way she will fall in love with one of the handsome male characters. Clayle reflects that normally it would be outrageous for a mob priest like him to take her in like this, but he firmly thinks that he does not regret it, not even a little. Clayle decides that since things have come to this, he will raise this young and weak Raina and protect her until the time comes for her to take the stage in the academy during the main story. Lying on the bed beside her, Raina suddenly makes a small sound, making Clayle react with surprise. He gently calls out to her and asks if she is awake because it is morning. Both of them sit on the bed. Raina rubs her eyes sleepily and yawns while Clayle sits beside her with a calm expression. Looking at him while still waking up, she hesitantly calls out, "Lord Clayle?" Clayle smiles and confirms that yes, it is him. After a moment, he greets her politely and says good morning, while Raina repeats the greeting uncertainly. Suddenly, Raina leans forward with a bright, happy expression and throws her arms around Clayle. Her eyes are closed as she presses against him, hugging him tightly. Clayle is completely caught off guard by the sudden embrace. His face turns red as he reacts in surprise and blurts out, "Yuwa," while staring at her in shock.